Okay, we are live now. Okay, so let's get started. Chapter 22, page 70. Close the door here. Okay. So we've seen last on Thursday was that where we left was Vishvamitra has gone for his tapas and he's got all the divine astras now in his calling. And now he goes back to the ashrama and Ashrama of Vashishta to get the Kamadhenu. Okay, that's where we are continuing. So let's continue. Kaushika went to the ashrama of Vashishta and without any warning, he began to dispatch the astras one after another. The birds and animals which were in the ashrama rushed out in panic. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Let's continue. The disciples who were living with the Rishi were also startled by the sudden harassment and they fled from there in fear. The ashrama and its surroundings were now as bare as soil, which is salty and fit for nothing. There was silence reigning and it was frightening. Vashishta was extremely angry with this cruelty on the part of Kaushika. Kaushika, who is now Vishvamitra. Okay. So he told himself, for no reason at all, this king is bent on troubling me again and again. I'll destroy him like the sun burns up snow. Vashisha came and stood before Kaushika and said, this peaceful hermitage, the haven of mental peace, have been destroyed by you, and I'm very angry with you. You do not know anything about proprieties, and you're a fool. I'm going to kill you. Vashishta lifted up his staff, which began to glow like the staff of Yama, the Lord of Death, like the fire which burns without smoke at the end of the yuga. Kaushika was not frightened by his words since he had the divine astras with him. He invoked the astra presided over by Agni, the god of fire. Vashishta hurled his danda at Kaushika and said, so you have come to challenge me with your divine astras? Let me see your prowess. I'm here standing in front of you and let me see what you can do. Show me. Let us see if your Kshatriya Bala is great or if my Brahma Bala is. You fool, you're a disgrace to the Kshatriya clan to which you belong. You will now see the superiority of the divine powers of a Brahman. The astra sent by Kaushika was rushing towards Vashishta, spitting fire in all directions. When it touched the Brahmadanda, which Vashishta had planted in front of him, the fire was extinguished like when it was touched by water. Kaushika then sent the astras Varuna, Raudra, Aindra, Pasupata, Aishika, and his brows were knit with anger and frustration, and he found each one of them swallowed up by the Brahmadanda. Manavastra was sent in vain, and Gandharva, the great Jrumbana, and Swapana, even Vajra, the astra presided over by Indra, was futile. Kaushika sent the Pashas, Kala Pasha, Varuna Pasha, and Brahma. Pasha means I think it's poison. The chakras followed, and many other astras which were reputed to be invincible. Not one of them was capable of superseding the Brahmadanda of Vashishta. By now, the Devas had assembled in the skies to witness this glorious scene where the power of the Brahman was proving itself to be greater than all the other powers in the three worlds. In despair, the king sent the great Brahmastra, and everyone was watching its progress with bated breath. Even the Brahmastra was swallowed and followed the same path as the others. Vashishta was now glowing like the god of fire, and every pore in his skin was spitting fire. The Brahmadanda was resplendent. It was like a pillar of fire. The rishis from the skies and from all over the heavens proclaimed, Vashishta, your power is the greatest power we have ever known. You're capable of bearing any of these fires and making them pale into insignificance because of your glory. The good king Kaushika has been vanquished by you. Please abandon your wrath and let not the world suffer because of your anger. Okay. So there's a lot of hidden meanings in this. Like Vashishta is angry for the right reason, but at the same time, now he is like totally in wrath, and all the devas are trying to appease him. So Vashishta accordingly calmed himself and his Brahmadanda also. As for Kaushika, he threw down his bow and arrows and with a long sigh exclaimed, Fay on the bala of a Kshatriya. The only bala worthwhile is a bala of a Brahman. With his Simya staff, this man has been able to hold at bay all the astras which had been given to me by Mahadeva. I have decided to perform tapas so that I will become like him. So I will be equal to him in Bala, and that will be Brahma Bala and not Kshatriya Bala. I will realize Brahmatva with my tapas. Kaushika's heart was full of diverse feelings. His heart was sore with the defeat he had met with at the hands of Vashishta. His sigh were like the hisses of a serpent which had been angered by the beatings by a stick. His hatred for the rishi was also immense. With so many emotions raging in his heart, Kaushika proceeded towards the south and began to perform intense tapas with the desire to become a Brahmarshi. Years passed. When 1,000 years had passed, Brahma, the creator, came to him and said, Kshatriya, your tapas has been so intense that the heavens are very pleased with your concentration. You have achieved what seemed to be impossible. You will from now on be known as Rajarshi Kaushika. Having granted the boon, Brahma went back to Satyaloka. Kaushika, however, was not as pleased as he ought to have been. On the contrary, he was very unhappy. His grief was intense, and so was his frustration. He wanted the world, and he was granted a handful of sand. He told himself, after all these years of tapas, I've been called a Rajarshi. I feel that I have not done enough. I will try again. That's the end of chapter 23. So, how many years did he meditate? Did he
A,
do
a
tapas?
1,000.
1,000 years. And then what did he get at the end of 1,000 years?
A title?
And what is the title? Was he happy with the title?
No, he wasn't. He was really disappointed because he just got a handful of sand. A title.
Yeah, that's a metaphor. So now what does he want to do?
He wants to perform more tapas.
Excellent. So continuing chapter 23. Okay, Trishanku of the solar race. In the solar race was a king by name Trishanku. He was a good king, famed for his righteousness, as the kings of the race were of all the kings of the race were. All on a sudden, he was filled with a strange desire. He wanted to reach the heavens with a human body. He approached his guru Vashishta with this desire in view and asked him to perform a yaga which would help him realize his dream. Vashishta refused, saying, This is an unnatural and impious desire on your part. I cannot help you to reach the heavens with this body. Trishanku was sorely disappointed. He renounced his throne and traveled to the south. There he met sons of Vashishta and asked them to help him achieve the impossible. They were 100 in number and they had performed tapas for several years and they were rich in the wealth of tapas. Trishanku approached them and saluting them with reverence, he stood with folded palms and said, I have surrendered myself to you. I am the king, whose guru is your dear father. I request you to perform for me a yaga which will make me reach the heavens with this human body. Guru Vashishta, the famous rishi, refused to help me and asked me to look for someone else to do it for me. I have no one else but the sons of my Guru, and so I have come to you for help. Rich as you are with tapas, I beseech you to help me. It is well known that your ancestors have been the gurus for the line of Ikshwaku all these years. You are like gods to us, and you should grant me my prayer. The sons of Vashishta were very angry with the king. They said, "You're very stupid and also sinful. When our father has refused to perform a sacrifice, saying that it is against all dharma, how dare you approach us with the same request?" Vashishta has been the Kula Guru for the line of kings ever since Ikshwaku, as you rightly observe, and this Vashishta has not approved of your ambition. He has told you that it's not possible to do such a thing. How did you expect us to agree to do something which our father has not sanctioned? You're indeed childish in your desire. Go back to the city and resume your kingly duties. We are not prepared to insult our father by taking up your cause. The king was very unhappy at their reply. He said, "If my guru refuses to help me and his sons too, what am I going to do? I have only one course open to me. I will go in search of another guru who will grant me what I want." The sons of Vashishta were furious with him. They could not brook the insult to their father and to themselves. Therefore, they cursed him and said, "You will, from this moment, become a Chandala." Having cursed him, they turned to their ashramas. The unhappy king returned to his city, and with his heart filled with pain and disappointment, when the night had passed, the king found that he had become a Chandala. His clothes had turned black, and his eye and his skin was black. His neck was adorned with flowers which were wild, and ornaments of gold which he had been wearing had turned into crude ones of iron. When he entered the city, people jeered at him and they could not recognize him. Even his ministers were unable to believe him when he told them who he was. He was chased out of the city by the citizens who made fun of his appearance. Trishanku thought for a while and decided that there was one rishi who would surely help him. Do you remember what Chandala means, Laya?
No, I just searched it up and it's not showing anything.
Chandala meaning?
Yeah, that's what I typed up and it didn't work.
Let's give it a try again.
How do you spell it?
Let me Chandala.
That was too
Someone
quick.
who deals with disposal of corpses. You know, the
Oh
people
yeah,
who
it comes up now.
do the burning of the dead
yeah.
body. Yeah. So that's what he's being cursed to become. Chandala. Okay. Rishanku thought for a while and decided there was one rishi who would surely help him. He had heard so much about the intense tapas which Kaushika had performed and about his becoming a Rajarshi because of his tapas. Trishanku hurried towards the spot where Kaushika was and saw him absorbed in his tapas. The king stood by, and Kaushika felt someone standing near him and opened his eyes. He looked at the dark and ugly Chandala standing at some distance. His eyes and his face were the very picture of woe, and Kaushika, whose heart was always ready with sympathy, felt that this man was suffering intensely. He called him near and asked him, "I can see that you are Trishanku, the king of Ayodhya. You are a great warrior and a good king. What can I do for you? I know that this Chandala form of yours is a result of a curse. Tell me what I can do to help you." So just by looking, he knew all of this. So hearing the words of affection which were spoken by Kaushika, the king was overcome with gratitude and his eyes filled with tears. He said, "My Guru Vashishta and his sons have refused to grant me my desire. I asked them to make me reach the heavens with this human body, and they would not grant me my wish. I have performed 100 yajnas, but evidently that is not enough. I have never once in my life spoken an untruth, and I will not do so hereafter. I swear that I have ruled my subjects with great care, and I have never once transgressed the rules which a Kshatriya should follow. I've always tried to please the elders and I've always set my mind on dharma. Seeing that all this seems to be futile when it cannot grant me a small desire, I realize that man's attempts are always useless and fate is only powerful factor. Everything is controlled by fate, and fate is the ultimate refuge of all. I have now come to you to ask you if you will help me realize the dream in my heart, to reach the heavens with this mortal body. I have no one else to whom I can go with this request, and it is up to you to help me and prove that even fate can be subdued by the attempts of a man. Kaushika was filled with pity and compassion for this king who had been so unfortunate. He spoke in a soft and gentle voice and he said, O king, you're welcome to be with me in my home. The world knows what a righteous monarch you are. I have decided to help you. Do not be afraid. I will summon all the rishis and ask them to help me perform a yajna with this form, with this chandala form, which your guru's curse has given you. With this form, I say, I will make you ascend the heavens. Kaushika has been approached on as a refuge by you, and you cannot be sent back empty handed. I will do what you want me to. Kaushika then instigated his sons to collect all that was necessary for the performance of a yajna. He summoned his disciples and said, Go and ask all the rishis to come here at my request. Let them bring their entire ashramas with them. The disciples went to all the quarters to bring to the many rishis. They came, all of them, except the sons of Vashishta and the father too. Vashishta's son's words were very comical indeed. A strange sight this yajna will be with a Kshatriya to perform the yajna and with the Chandala as the object of the yajna. We wonder how the participants will react. The divine beings who have to receive their shares of the havis at the hands of one who's not a Brahman, they will have to eat the food touched by a Chandala and served by a Kshatriya since Kaushika is not a Brahman. When he heard these words, Kaushika was highly incensed and with his eyes red with anger, he cursed them to be Nishadas. So, do you want to check Nishada's meaning?
Yeah, do it now.
Nishadhas. So, it's considered someone of a lower
Sanskrit.
class. Yeah, someone of a lower class.
Nishada is a tribe mentioned in ancient Indian literature, such as the epic Mahabharata.
Hmm. Okay. So, Kaushika then addressed the rishis, curse him to be. So, address the rishis. So, it's a social classification. So, someone with lesser power and standing. So Kaushika, standing in the society. Kaushika then addressed the rishis who had come there at his request and said, This is a king Trishanku, a descendant of Ikshwaku. He is a righteous king famed in all the three worlds. He has come to you with a request. He wants to reach the heavens with this body. I promise to help him and I appeal to all of you to assist me in this attempt to help a good king. Hearing his words, the rishis said to themselves, Kaushika is a man with a very short temper. His anger is dangerous if we do not assist him. If he asks us to, he's sure to get angry and we can never guess what he'll do if his anger turns against us. It is better to help him perform the yajna. So all the other rishis were kind of afraid of Kaushika. Kaushika was a yajaka and the rishi were all willing to do the needful, was a yajaka. The yajna proceeded in the proper manner. At the final stage, when the Havis was to be offered, Kaushika summoned the Devas one by one to accept their shares. But not one of them came. Their disapproval of the yajna was obvious. Kaushika was furious at this insult, but he composed himself and with his eyes blazing with anger and his frame trembling with fury, he raised the shruva, the spoon with which ghee is poured into the sacrificial fire, aloft and said, Look on the power of my tapas. I will raise this king to the heavens with the human body. I command you, Trishanku, rise in the air and reach the heavens with this body of yours. If at all I have performed any tapas, I give the result of all that with this end in view, to raise you to the heavens. Rise, O king, and reach the heaven. So he used his 1,000 years plus, I don't know how many more years he's been performing tapas. He's given everything in exchange to raise Trishanku by himself to the heavens. Okay, so that's interesting. That's the end of chapter 23. Anything you want to share, Laya or Surya?
I just think that was very nice of him to like give all of his tapas away to someone.
Hmm. Any other thoughts? Do you think it's Vashishta was right in refusing Trishanku's desire for taking the human body with him?
I feel like I don't know what the point in doing that is though. Like I don't really understand why someone would want to do that. Like why they so desperately want to do it. But
Yeah.
it's the you also said that he just suddenly got the desire. It's not like he wanted it for a long time or anything.
Hmm.
So he just suddenly wanted it. And
He's been a good king and all that, but he's just having this random
yeah,
desire which he can't
I
get over.
feel I thought it would be like just like a phase or something, but then it already happened. So
Hmm. So we got 4 more minutes. We can do chapter 24 also, a new heaven, because it's very interesting now. Let's see what's happening.
okay.
A new heaven. Everyone was watching with bated breath. Suddenly, Trishanku began to raise above the ground. He folded his palms and he saluted the rishi. He rose in the air, and even as they were all looking, he vanished into the clouds. Indra was not pleased with this intruder. He said, Trishanku, go back to the earth. You're not fit to dwell in the heavens. Cursed as you are by your guru, we are not prepared to consider you as one of us. Trishanku was pushed rudely and he found himself falling downwards. He called out to the great Kaushika and said, My lord, they have thrown me out and I'm falling down. Save me, save me. Kaushika was very angry and very sad too. He could not brook the cruelty of the Devas and their selfishness. He said, Stay where you are. The fall of Trishanku was arrested halfway. Then, in the presence of all, Kaushika, like another Brahma, began to create a new heaven for Trishanku. In the southern direction, he created the 7 rishis and other stars. He created the clusters of stars. He then said, I'm going to create another Indra who will eclipse the present Indra. He began to do so and to create other devas too. There was great commotion in the heavens, and the devas and rishis from the heavens approached Kaushika with humility and said, Please listen to our words, Kaushika. It has been said that one who has been cursed by his guru cannot reach the heavens, so we did what we did. It was in no way meant to cast aspersions on you or your greatness. Hearing their words, Kaushika said, you're jealous of me, so you treated him thus. You're jealous of him, and so you treated him thus. I will not let him come back to the earth. He is a righteous king, and he does not deserve punishment. The Deva said, We will agree to anything you say. I will not go back on my promise to Trishanku, said Kaushika. The heaven I have created for him will be permanent. The stars and the 7 rishis and the entire galaxy which have been created by me will be permanent. Indras may go come and go, but the heavens I have built for Trishanku and the world of Trishanku will last forever. So be it, said Indra and the Devas with great humility. This world of stars and gods which you have created out of your tapas will remain forever proclaiming your greatness. Trishanku will rule the heaven built for him like another Indra. All the stars will move in their orbits for him, and his fame and name will last forever. Kaushika was satisfied by their promise, and Trishanku was happy. The Devas went back to their abode and the rishis to theirs. Only Kaushika was left all alone, and his treasury of tapas was empty. He had given it all for the sake of a king whose suffering could not be borne by Kaushika. It's the end of chapter 24. So, do you remember that this whole narration is being done by Sadananda to Rama? Sadananda, who is the preceptor of Sita's father, Janaka. Okay, is telling the whole narration, the past few chapters about the life, what happened in Vishwamitra's life, and their Trishanku story is within that story. So we'll stop here, and the next chapter tomorrow will be chapter 25. Sunashefa is the name of the chapter. So we'll continue to read about this Kaushika, Vishvamitra. A few more chapters is continuing about Vishvamitra. Was that interesting?
Yeah, that was really interesting. It was kind of funny how everyone was scared of him.
Yeah. Let's say our closing prayers. Close your eyes. Om. 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.